Hey, what are y'all doing? Come on over here and check this video out. It's gonna be a pretty cool one. Old goat says so.
Welcome back, folks. We start where we left off last time, and we hope you was able to watch that first visit to the Johnson Space Center. If not, go back and watch part 1 when you can. We're starting part 2 here at Independence Plaza and take a tour of the Space Shuttle and the Space Shuttle carrier aircraft. I'm going to try to give you a glimpse of some of NASA's Space Exploration Learning Center's exhibits that make this place one of Houston's top attractions. And this area's #1 attraction for international visitors. The official visitor center of NASA is Space Center Houston. Shuttle aircraft was used to ferry the retired space shuttles to their respective museums. After delivering Endeavour to the Los Angeles International Airport back in September 2012, the aircraft was flown to Dryden Research Facility, and NASA intended to use it as spare parts, but unfortunately for them, there was too few parts usable. In 2013, there was a decision made that it would be preserved at Johnson Space Center here in Houston, and decided that the mock-up Space Shuttle Independence would be mounted on its back. The Space Shuttle Independence was formerly known as the Explorer. It's a full-scale replica of the Space Shuttle, and it was built by Gardley in Florida. It was then installed at the Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex in 1993. It was moved to the Space Center Houston in 2012. It was built by using schematics, blueprints, and documents provided by NASA and by the Space Shuttle contractors such as Rockwell International. While many of the features on the replica are simulated, some parts, including the Michelin tires on the landing gear, have actually been flown on other space shuttles. The model is 122.7 feet long, 54 feet high, and has a wingspan of 78 feet. Oh, by the way, it weighs 171,860 pounds.
Here to ground 1.
Welcome, take air ground 1.
I reach 5 by, help me.
Roger, you're 5 by.
Okay, you ready for keys and modulation?
That's affirmative.
Alright, series keys, folks.
ST air ground. Welcome, take King was 100%.
Roger, modulation check.
Roger.
NST air to ground testing with air to ground 1.
ST air ground, welcome, take King was 100%. Voice and modulation, we go.
Saturn V upcoming 845.
I copy, stand by for
That's
air
status
ground
is
2.
Roger.
Roger, sir. I'd like to confirm you completed sequence 1 at this time.
Voice
That
NST
is
air to
affirmed.
ground 1, air to ground
I'd like to
checkout.
confirm you are receipt of activated NSCM.
Affirm.
And confirm your computer systems are loaded with SSI 169 telemetry.
Alright, now we're going to bundle up because it's a little chilly today. We're going to take a ride over to Rocket Park and we're going to go and we're going to check out a few other things while we're over here. So y'all sit back and relax and enjoy the ride, and we'll listen to the guide.
I'm ready. There's a 63-foot tall Saturn V rocket. It does fill the entirety of that building, both lengthwise and widthwise, and it's even bigger than the picture on the outside on that wall. It is made up of Apollo 18, 19, and 20, but mostly Apollo 18. And this is due to budget cuts and all events happening at the time, that didn't allow Apollo 18 and beyond to fly. Apollo 17 became the final mission of the Apollo program, but was also the most successful in terms of lunar research, lunar samples, and also bringing the first scientists onto the moon, rather than a military test pilot. The second of the two rockets, which is closest towards us, is the Little Joe 2, which is an ironic name due to its size. It flew 5 unmanned missions used to test the LES and HAPS parachutes. The LES is the launch escape system, which are those tinier rockets on top of the bigger rockets. It's a little bit more obvious on the Mercury Redstone because it's red. These activate the first 2 into flight if the thing is too wrong, but luckily NASA has never had to use them. However, they have been used to save the life of 4 cosmonauts and 1 American astronaut.
JSC is a big place. It encompasses about 1,620 acres and more than 100 buildings. There's 15,000 employees, and they got to have a way to get around. And those bicycles right there are the way they do it. They're free-range bicycles, and they belong to nobody except NASA and are available for anybody to use. They're not to be locked or hidden. Intention is that they will always be a bike to hop on and get where you're going whenever you want. Some of those bicycles have been here since the 60s, since back during Apollo. Lots of history.
Alright everybody, welcome to Building 9, the astronaut training facility and the home of the Space Vehicle Walk-Up Facility. Since 1980, every NASA astronaut has walked the floors of this building here at Johnson Space Center, and currently, NASA astronauts and engineers have been practicing and updating hardware inside this building for current space station missions and preparing us for the next iteration of spaceflight with the Artemis mission. The large white green cylinders that you guys are right there in front of make up a full-scale mock-up of the International Space Station. It's just right underneath the model of the ISS. If you've never seen the ISS put together, there's a little model for you. These are what we call low-fidelity mock-ups, which means NASA usually sees to train our astronauts in basic safety or short procedures to prepare themselves for living aboard the ISS. The International Space Station is the largest orbiting laboratory ever built, and it is roughly the size of an American football field.
The International Space Station modules help astronauts become familiarized with the space station in preparation for their missions. Orion's NASA crewed space vehicle is being evaluated right now and tested by astronauts in Building 9 as engineers finalize Orion's design. Although equipment for Building 9 may change from time to time, the goal is always training. It houses 200 training courses to help astronauts become familiar with spacecraft, understand its various systems, and prepare for emergencies that may occur during the mission.
The ISS is a global partnership of 15 different countries, and together they have been working for over 20 years to create the most prominent international peacetime collaboration in history. In 2011, with the complete assembly of the Hubble Space Telescope and the International Space Station, NASA retired the Space Shuttle Program, opting to strengthen our cooperation with Roscosmos. NASA shipped the joint expedition to the ISS aboard Roscosmos Soyuz capsules, one of which can be seen here in front of the Zarya model. It looks kind of like a green olive. In 2020, astronauts began launching from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida using a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. SpaceX is one of the companies participating in NASA's Commercial Crew Program, which began in 2014. In front of the window, you can see a mock-up of a white capsule, the Boeing Starliner.
This building is the home to exploration rover prototypes and other robotic projects such as Valkyrie, NASA's next generation of humanoid robot, also known as R5. Little Joe 2 was an American rocket used from 1963 to 1966 for 5 uncrewed tests of the Apollo spacecraft launch escape system and to verify the performance of the command module parachute recovery system in abort mode. It was named after a similar rocket design for the same function in Project Mercury. Launched from White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico, it was the smallest of 4 launch rockets used in the Apollo program. The Mercury Redstone was the first American crewed space booster. It was used for 6 suborbital Mercury flights from 1960 to 1961, and it culminated with the launch of the first American to be launched in space.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
From 1964 until 1973, about $6.5 billion, or $35.5 billion in today's dollars, was appropriated for research and development and flights of the Saturn V. The maximum amount being in 1966 with $1.2 billion, or the equivalent of $7.5 billion today. NASA received its biggest budget of $4.5 billion, about 0.5% of the gross domestic product of the United States at that time. As of 2022, the Saturn V remains the only launch vehicle to carry humans beyond low Earth orbit, as well as the tallest, heaviest, and most powerful rocket ever brought to operational status. It holds the record as the heaviest payload launched and largest payload capacity to low Earth orbit, 310,000 pounds, which included the third stage and unburned propellant needed to send Apollo command, service, and lunar modules to the moon.
Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main beam bus undervolt.
Roger, main beam undervolt. Okay, stand by at 13, we're looking at it.
future of space exploration is a bright one, and NASA's focus is now definitely on the future. With companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and others, who knows what lies ahead for NASA's space program. Folks, we've enjoyed spending this time with you, and we hope to catch y'all on the next video. Until then, y'all take care, and remember, the old goat said so.